Happiness. How do we start feeling happy? Why am I not feeling happy? How do I obtain happiness? How do I understand this concept? Let me explain. Happiness is something that is formulated in your own head. You create happiness through understanding and experience. This is something that makes you happy. This is something you want continuing to make you happy. This doesn't make you happy. You don't want that to make you happy. And through life, you grow and you formulate a happiness. But the older you get and through time progresses, that happiness can become harder to obtain, and there is a certain thing that happens to a person, and I'm going to explain. We formulate our happiness in such a difficult trajectory. We put ourselves in a position that we must earn our happiness, like we don't have it. We put our happiness into something we're working for. We put our happiness into our goal. We put our happiness into our future selves. We put our happiness into our bettering versions. But sometimes in the moment, we can't find that rightness to be happy. When you set yourself goals and you say, I'm going to be happy with this, I'm going to be working for this, I have this I want, I'm not going to be happy until I have this, I'm unsatisfied. You say those things and you work for a goal. They are very high expectations to put and an expectation to put on your emotions. So what tends to happen is you restrict your happiness completely to try to fixate on the goal at hand. But you don't realize that that happy mindset was a part of the distribution of the thought process of creating those ideals. So now that you are finding this thing to seek happiness, it's difficult. It doesn't make sense. You're seeking happiness for it, and it's requiring no happiness in return. Let's say you are giving yourself an unrealistic goal, right? You want to go to college. Your parents are beating on, you need to go to college. And something happens. You work your fucking ass off and you just can't, right? Then you restrict your happiness. You were like, oh, I'm going to be happy now that I'm going to college. But what do you feel now? You don't feel happiness. You don't feel good. You feel shit. But that's not real physical entity hurting you. It's yourself. You have just made your own happiness on a pedestal that sometimes you can't even reach. And that's the difficulty. And that's the tough part, is us doing that. It is an amazing feeling to receive that happiness for that one thing we want to work for, because we are obsessed with the ideal of that happiness one thing can give us. But when we obsess and chase, it is never going to be the way we interpret it, because our mind is always altering. It is always altering. One common thing and why people find themselves so sad is because they've been given these goals, whether it's their parents, whether it's themselves. They've been taught in this tunnel vision mind that they must receive, they must do, and sometimes people are happy when they just aren't happy when they just relax, right? I've seen that. Sometimes stress is developed into a person so much that they must constantly feel good, they must constantly be working, they must constantly be doing to satisfy their mind. There are some people that do things only because it makes them happy. But they didn't do those things, would they still be happy? That's the question. And that's why you battle. You put happiness into this one thing and it's gone and you don't know what the fuck to do. You really don't. It sucks. It's a devastating feeling. It is a devastating feeling. You feel untrust, you feel betrayed, you feel fucking manipulated, and it's just something you can't take in when you wanted a good feeling and you were given ache. And the reason is because nobody told you to, but you put your own happiness on a pedestal. You should be happy you woke up. A lot of people didn't this morning. You should be happy you went to work. That's a stressful thing. You should be happy you were able to go to school, then go to work, managing all that shit while still making sure you mask for your family and friends. Without letting, you mask all day at work, you do all this. You need to stop pedestaling that happiness. You have to understand that the happiness, it's just, you move on. You don't realize that. You get this, you move on, you get this, you move on. But what if you woke up every single morning with a happy mindset, just happy, right? You never feared it would go away. You never had to fear it would go away, and it never did, because it was self-formulated. It was created in your mind. And it's not going to be bad if you do this, but the small goals to earn your happiness are not hard earned, but the happiness is required for you. You need to be happy. And if you aren't happy, don't fret, because this is our first time going through everything. We're all just taking this in at once. You found yourself at this video because you are seeking the knowledge. You want to be happy, and I'm going to help. Stop putting that happiness into those external things that don't always guarantee it. The things that you have at the end of the day are not that, not her, not him, not them, but you. That's the only thing. When the clock fucking hits 12 and you're in bed, the only thing you have is yourself. The only thing. When you wake up and you're exhausted, the only thing you have is that tired fucking body. The only thing you have is that brain. That's all. Those things just constantly give you this stimuli. But this is the most important thing to make happy. To realize that you are genuinely happy, you are in a good position. To realize that, yeah, you don't have what you have right now, but you don't need to pedestal that happiness. You can still be happy without having that. And that is very hard to turn around and say to someone that, stop chasing that for happiness. It's not going to make you happy. You have to be happy on your own. Some people will not fucking settle with the idea of not having something. Some people want things so badly because, yeah, it could fix their brain chemistry. It could fix that chemical imbalance they've been facing for 20 years. And they know it. They know it. But you are just seeking and idealizing. It's a thought. What, would I feel happy? Would you? But you're willing to see that through without no prior progress, but anything else you won't. You're willing to predict and put so much energy into something that maybe doesn't even have that energy in position, and so much expectation, and then you get pissed when this thing doesn't give you that happiness. Now, to change the spectrum, to help understand how we can create happiness better, we must understand that happiness is generally just a fake. It's just fake, right? It's like I said, this makes him happy, this makes him happy, right? You compare the two, it just doesn't make, you can understand why that makes him happy, but you can never understand fully why that makes him happy. It was just a scenarioized events that made him understand and made him like it. So throughout your life, you look at your phone, you look at the things you have, and you're grateful, but you always want more. And it is difficult to just sometimes appreciate what you have. If you've been seeking something for so long, you feel like you deserve something, you want this, you want that, that must be shut down if it is for to seek happiness. You can seek things, you can want things, you could want this, you can want that, but you must change the way you are saying it. You must say you want this for experience, you want this for knowledge, you want this for growth. You cannot garner happiness out of anything. And if you seek something for the cause of happiness, you seek something for finding happiness, it will always go fucking wrong. It'll always. It sounds fucked up. It's not something you want. But when you learn to formulate your own happiness, you'll never, ever, 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 ever seek it again. You will never seek it again out of anyone else. The happiness that you can create is the strongest happiness. It's stuck in that brain. Just like how depression seems stuck in someone's head, somehow they're trapped in those thoughts. You start to build upon happiness of your own, that will then be stuck in your head. You'll be lobotomized from the outside thoughts sometimes. It can't hurt you because you've trained your mind to just be happy with what you are and who you are, and just without needing these things. Really think about it. You won't be happy for a really long time if you constantly seek happiness in a lot of things. The feeling you want is happiness. Feel what you want from those things. Truthfully visualize what that feeling is you're going to get from what you want. That happiness. Why do you want it? Because it makes you feel accomplished. How are you not accomplished now? It's just the trajectory, and it's the dangerous way our brain plays tricks on us. It's something we need to work on. So A quick way is to just accept yourself through the day. Love yourself. Understand that the days you didn't get up and do the shit, the days you were too tired are the best days. The days you're loving yourself. The days you didn't have the energy to keep up, you were tired, you need the rest. Those are the days you love yourself. You must understand that despite what you say, you communicate a lot of factors that tell you that you do love yourself. The overthinking you do, the worrying, this angst, that all proves you do love yourself. You hold that happiness, and that would be hard for you to see in the future. To look back on younger you chasing something, and you're looking at him like, why isn't he just happy? He's formulated that happiness, and he's made it so that he's not happy until he gets whatever the fuck he wants. Someone who is happy without those tangent things is a powerful being. People will love being around someone who is just naturally happy in an environment. Completely lobotomized from society is different. Completely taking all, happiness is built. It is not an easy thing to just immediately gone upon. Happiness can be created. You find at work, maybe the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks you're at work, it sucks, but then you're working there, and then you find things that start to make you happy. It's a development, just like how you start developing seeking happiness. Maybe sometimes in life you have sought happiness and you got it, and the reward was like a feeling unbountiful. But that is just conditioning to the mind. You're going to continue to do that for the rest of your life if you learn that. We are we're creatures of habit. We are going to learn what we know works. What we can prove works, maybe when we were younger, was seeking happiness. We're kids, we're babies, it's easier, we're different, we don't have those things. But when someone sees someone who is insufficient on themselves, when someone sees someone lacking, when someone sees someone who seeks and begs, they don't like that. Truthfully, nobody likes someone who just looks just like, like they don't have it in themselves. It's tough. You are a happy person one day and you just don't feel it this day and you feel hard on yourself. It is a tough thing. But let's say your friend's happy and you're dragging them down and, they don't understand that. We can all understand as a group that this is a dangerous, fucked up, horrible environment in that it is so easy. It is so easy for most people and so easy for most people to say they hate what they have. They hate what they are. This shit sucks. This world sucks. It is very, very, very easy to say negative. So easy. It is so easy. Every time somebody hears negativity, it's like, fuck. It's like, you're not any different. You hate working. Who doesn't hate working? You hate cold weather. Who fucking doesn't hate cold weather? You're just you're a turtle. You're a shell. You need to break that shit. The happiness can be created. Imagine talking to someone and they're like, man, I fucking hate these long shifts. But you have learned to formulate your own happiness. So you stick with yourself. You're like, nah, I'll get through this. I'm happy no matter what, And that's powerful. The person's going to be like, how, they'll think you're crazy basically. But you have done something with your brain that a lot of people can't do. Physically incomprehensible to them. But once you learn to start getting that happiness on your own, it can never be taken away from you. It will stick with you till the day you die. It always grows more and more and more. The thoughts you give yourself, the thoughts and happiness you give yourself may not, because you've put it on a pedestal here, it may not be the same, but the more and more and more you do it, like we're cyclical creatures, the better it'll feel. The much, much better it'll feel. And it is a tough transitioning point to start loving yourself if you say you fucking hate yourself and say all this bullshit constantly. Trust me, it sounds idiotic to call yourself ugly and then one morning just wake up and say, oh, I look good. You didn't believe that. You truthfully don't believe that. Don't lie to yourself. It's like, but you're looking for that change. And it's going to better you, So just, even if you don't believe shit, just say, I look good. I feel happy. I'm happy. I don't need anything. My happiness is in myself. Know that No matter what, these external things may appear as that happiness, but it'll never be the truest happiness. It'll never stay. As much as you try to work on it, you will always want and you will always be a seeking person. But you can learn to satisfy yourself in certain ways by developing the happiness that you have with yourself. And once you find things in your life that you can garner small amounts of happiness off of, even if they don't, like, oh, I'm happy I have this, I'm happy I have this, I'm happy, that will grow. You must learn to just start being accepting with yourself and saying positive, speaking positive, right? Cutting out the negativity. Imagine I think it's called a teeter-totter or some shit like that, but imagine a weight, right? The negative and the positive. You want the positive, you'll weight it down much easier if you take off the negative. So you got to just take off the negative, One way you could start taking off the negative is just accepting the position. I'm fine right now. It's all good. It's all good. I'm good right now. Everything's all right. No matter what I'm feeling, my brain's playing tricks on me. Everything's all right. We are doing okay. We are in a work point. This is a checkpoint, right? You came here because you want to be happy. And most of the time you want to hear things you want to hear, but it's something you don't want to hear. And when you depend on that person for happiness, it may flop. And sometimes that's going to hurt. And it's something they didn't even know. They weren't expecting it. And you just hurt yourself because you were expecting something they aren't even. That's the thing. You just create expectancies and your brain plays these dumb tricks on you. But the one thing you truly know is you and you. What you have. I'm happy. I like my clothes. This mountain's cool. I'm happy with this shirt. It's not the coolest shirt. I'm just happy. It's not the coolest hoodie, but I'm just happy with it. I like it. It's got mountains. Cool sun. Makes me happy. Does it? Fuck no. I'm just saying it makes me happy. It makes me happy. I'm saying and changing the way I speak because that is the first step of obtaining the happiness, is just finding small ways to love yourself through these little things you didn't before. Because you have a lot to love yourself, but I think you get lost in the game, you forget, you seek. You can obtain, yes, that's a thing, but you must work on that self-happiness. It'll never go away. You'll go home every day at work and go to be happy. You'll go home and look forward to life. You'll get back on track once you have this happiness solved. You'll see you hang out with friends and you see they're happy and you're not happy. You got to solve that. They can't give that to you. They're in a different mindset. Get yourself happy. And once you get yourself happy, working on it yourself, it cannot be taken away. Literally in any way. You've spent the time working on yourself. You've put in the effort. It's not easy, but the more you say happy things to yourself, the more you say, I'm happy, the more you look at something and you're just like, wow, I'm happy I have this. Being grateful, being understanding of the current situation, and worse, stop putting that happiness in a pedestal. Look for that pedestal of knowledge and experience. I want this for experience. This may not give me happiness. It's not going to give me happiness. And then when it does, you're surprised, right? You say, it doesn't give me happiness, and then it does and you're surprised. But what about if you say it gives me happiness and it doesn't? You're pissed. No more expectations. Expectations for different things are okay, but this is your happiness. It is something that should be a byproduct in your life. It should be obtainable. There are so many people that you view happy and it fucks with you. They don't even try because some people can formulate that happiness in their own. Some people love themselves even if they aren't lovable. Like legit, they're fucked up people, but they love themselves, You just need to formulate ideas no matter what anyone's thinking. Take it from another position. You garner happiness off something somebody says. You hold on to that and you believe it and you alter your thoughts. Oh, wow, I want someone to compliment me more. I want someone to compliment me more. And you don't receive those compliments and then you don't feel happy because you're not receiving. It's all about putting it on a pedestal, and that's what we do. You're not bad if your happiness is simple. You're not bad if you can't receive this happiness and you're upset. You find easier things and other things. You try new things. That's ultimately how you found happiness in the first place, is by trying new things. Being thrown into a situation, not expecting you to like it, but you like it. And that's how it surprises you. Most times when you expect to like something, maybe it doesn't work. And it's weird. It's just the life feng shui. But one thing to understand is, like I've repeated, that self-happiness will stay. It'll be something that you work with. It'll be a positive reinforcement in your life. You'll never be bashed. You'll never be thrown. You'll shine in the crowd. Jack of all trades, like I've previously said. The happiness is funny. Some people drive themselves for it. Some people want this. They don't do this until they're happy. Some people go crazy over something you know won't make them happy. For an example, relationships. You see someone dwelling over a relationship and you see how much they're dwelling, and it's like, is it worth the happiness? How much stress you've went through to try to receive this happiness? Is it really worth it? What if that happiness was received for free? You'd never work for that shit a million years. What if I told you the happiness only comes for free? What if the happiness is never earned, and when you learn to earn happiness, it's a constant game of fighting your brain and fighting and fighting. You sit down one day and you learn to love the things you have. Even if you can't feel it in the moment, just keep repeating and life will reciprocate the energy you give back, if that makes sense. Changing the interim. It is reflecting growth. The happiness that, okay, let's say for an example, this didn't make me happy, and I start saying positive things about it, I'm just saying positive things to try to change my life, but tomorrow I'm going to say another positive thing about it. The next day I'm going to say another positive thing about it. Just find things positive. Another thing I would do, and this is good too, is sit down with a notebook and a piece of paper and just think. Write down the things you like in life. Write down the things you enjoy. Realize how many of those things come from external sources and how many of those things come from yourself. It's tough. A lot of them come from external things, and a lot of them won't ruin you, and you can have external things like music and working out. You can expect happiness in a lot of things, totally, but those will not pedestal your happiness. Those influence your happiness. You are happy and become happier with those things. You are happy and become happier with the relationship. You are happy and become happier working out. You are happy and you are not sad and become happy with this. Because what happens when you take this away? You can't go back to being happy. You don't know how to be happy on your own. That's what I'm saying. You learn to be happy on your own. You will never be ruined. You will never be distraught a day in your life. It is a powerful chemical that takes a lot of time and effort. A lot of people do this. It's tough. The shit I talk about is powerful. Once you accomplish that self-happiness, you put yourself above the smallest 0.1% of the people. People who can wake up and just smile. You can still receive things in life. That doesn't shut out your happiness, but you have just made yourself simple. I'm happy. I don't care. I'm happy. You've made a simple direction. And you'll laugh once you realize, why did I put happiness into this? Why did I want this so badly? Look how happy I am now. Again, I'll repeat it. If it comes easily, you'll never stress about it a day in your life. And you need to know that when it is self-evident and when it's self-working, you will find it will be easy to receive. And you will love that. You will love the love that comes easy to yourself. It's a great feeling. That work and that combination is but it'll stay for your life if you've worked on it with yourself. There are a couple ways to orient your happiness as you are right now. There are a couple ways to instantaneously help you and work on that path if you just don't know what you're doing right now. A couple things you can do to impact your happiness is to start eating foods you like, nourishing foods, good foods, warm meals. Go out and eat. Even if you're tired, that tiredness and exhaustion is because you've held your happiness on the pedestal and you're exhausted, right? You don't know it's going to make you happy, and you don't want that happiness right now, but it can provide you happiness. Once you eat that nourishing food and you feel fed, it's love. It's communicating love to yourself. You deserve that. You need that. You are worthy of it. And the more you do that, the more you go out and just eat food, just spend time with yourself, loving yourself, rewarding yourself, that builds, and that's a beneficial thing to learn, to just do those little dumb things that can benefit you. And food is one thing that just somehow helps. It helps. When you eat good foods, when you eat nourishing foods, you'll always feel better compared to you just kind of eating shit. You know, if you're eating shit, if you like eating the shit, that is your nourishing food to you, that could be good. But when's the last time you've had a nice succulent steak? Or when's the last time you've had a nice bowl of shrimp scampi? When's the last time you've had a nice warm bowl of spaghetti, chicken parm, you know? When's the last time you've had something warm? Just that will ultimately bring love back to you. It's a reward to yourself. You're giving to yourself. You always will love that. Another thing you can do is talk about your issues. In this world, it's hard to talk about things, not your issues, but just talk in general. It's hard to talk about that in this environment. Seems like people don't care. We're all tunnel visioned, right? Because we're all locked in finding that happiness. It's like, fuck, I don't want to fucking hear about that right now. I'm trying to find my happiness. But the person who's happy and the person who's satisfied can then drop that and say, okay, I can then work on this person. I can then help this person. I'm happy. I could help them. But that's the problem. We're all trapped in this fucking ideal that we need to get something, and that can prevent us from having an outlet to go to. So when I say talk to someone about this, it can be difficult to find someone who treasures and cares about what you say. So talking to someone can be hard. What I'm doing is I'm making YouTube videos. I'm expressing what I feel. I am communicating to you guys. Feel free to leave what you want in the comments. Say anything, express your feelings. I would never disown it. I would never abuse it in any type of way. Those outlets, when you get something off your chest, it feels amazing. Maybe not the first time, maybe you're scared because you haven't talked about it, but the more you get things off your chest, it's always going to be less weight. It's working on getting weight off you. And you'll just work on being the person that can de-stress, get something off your head, say it immediately. When you work on being lock-minded and not saying anything, that develops, and then you find a situation, you don't talk about it, and it eats you. No matter what you think it does or doesn't, it eats you. You don't want it to. You made that decision. Most of the decisions are things you've done, and that's what makes you feel bad, because it's what you make it, and you've made it this. Life is what you make it, and you've made it so that you can't be happy without those things. So we're going to change that. When you're talking about your day, you're just identifying it. I got up, I woke up, I did this. You know, it probably wasn't that boring. Maybe a boring story you talk about yourself. You're writing in a journal, right? Next day could be better. Next day could be worse. You're just writing it out. You're just expressing it. You're just getting it out of the head. That's all. It's good to get it out of the head. You don't want to sit there and sulk on it all day, because that is the last thing that will be beneficial for your happiness, is overthinking. And I will also cover overthinking in another video, but I wanted to add this last part to help emphasize that happiness is not a difficult thing. There are lots of dumb ways to receive it. We just put it on a pedestal because sometimes we receive it externally from this too much, and we want it from this, and we don't want it from this, and we want it from this. But at the end of the day, if we create it in us, we'll never worry about it. We'll never be anxious again. We'll truly be happy. Truly